Well, I guess I'm the poster girl for BC Transit. When I was drawn to the little focus group, I was so enthusiastic about my experiences on the bus that they said, oh, we really need you to come and share. So thank you for letting me do that. The BC Transit was on the national news last week. Does anyone know why? Because we are famous for saying thank you.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that a wonderful thing to be known for?
And good morning and
Oh, all that stuff, yeah. So when I first came to Victoria 25 years ago as a refugee from Toronto,
I know that story.
and I took the bus to UVic to go to Cinecenter to the movies, and I got back on the bus to come home, and the driver said, how was the movie? I thought I died and gone to heaven. That would never happen in Toronto. First of all, the bus drivers might have difficulty with English, and second, they weren't the least bit interested. So I was so excited to be in a city where the buses were driven by human beings that I could have an interaction with. I have a valid driver's license. I've driven in 4 countries, but I've never owned a car, mostly because of money and environmental reasons. But I was a founding member of the car share co-op here in Victoria, and I've rented a car in the past. I used to drive other people's a lot, picking them up from the airport and so on, but then I see BC got very difficult about the insurance requirements, so I don't do that anymore, and I warn any of you not to drive other people's cars unless you've checked out the insurance. They've got really tough. So all my trips today are on the bus, and I'm a huge fan, obviously. I've seen wildlife from the bus. It's very rare to take a number 11 without seeing some deer in the uplands. I explore new neighborhoods. I get off the bus if there's something interesting, and just wander around and then get on the bus going the other way, getting back. I've made friends on the bus. So the buses, to me, has been almost universally a good experience. And also with HandyDart. I had a new hip and was reliant on HandyDart. My goodness, he took me all the way out to North Saanich to my book club. I was absolutely astonished. But I can understand why we oldsters, and I am 81, are often nervous about taking public transit because we have to be confident that we will get a seat. I always get a seat when I get off the ferry from Vancouver because I take the number 72. I don't want to fight with all those people on the 70. So I ride back usually in solitary splendor, looking at the cows, seeing if the corn is ripe at Silverville. I may get home a little later, but it's so much more stress-free. So I recommend you think those sorts of things.
Explain the difference between 70 and 72.
72 is slower. It goes down the country roads.
Okay.
So I get
That's
home
wonderful.
about 20 minutes later than the rest of you, but I'm at peace and I've seen cows. So, of course, if I got on the 70, I would get a seat anyway, because I use a cane, I'm imperious, I don't hesitate to ask, but I would also be the object of all sorts of stares and mutters and groans, and I would be crushed. So I always choose the easier option, the bus that's not going to be busy. And I'm never embarrassed about asking for a seat. If there's some thoughtless youngster lounging at the front, I'll just say, may I have that seat, please? I've never yet had anyone say no.
That's great.
I have also heard that there's another strategy where another person might intervene and say to the usually young person lounging there, are you feeling well enough to give your seat to this lady? That's a great strategy.
meet you on the university bus.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Anyway, and if none of that works, enlist the help of the bus driver. You, as a person with a mobility problem, are a liability. That bus driver wants you safely in a seat. So he or she will make sure that you get a seat. But we also have responsibilities. Providing you're not having to argue to get your seat and there's seats available, once you get on the bus, get to the first available seat. Sit down, the bus can go on its way. He or she doesn't want to start the bus when you're still on your feet because you just might topple over. You're a liability. It involves paperwork. It delays the bus, insurance claims, blah, blah, blah. So do the driver a favor, get on the first seat. When the bus stops again at another stop or a long stoplight, then choose the seat that you really want. We have to make it easy for the bus drivers to do their job. I was on the number 2 just last week, and the bus took a corner too fast. There was a guy standing. He fell, he broke his glasses. It involved paperwork. Embarrassed bus driver, not good. Please, sit down. The other thing we need to remember to help make everything easier for fellow passengers and the driver is to wave down the bus. A lot of the buses, a lot of the stops are served by more than one bus. So if the number 2 comes along and you want it and not the number 3, wave at it. It makes life much easier for everybody. Or shake your head if that's not the bus for you. Have your fare ready and get on promptly. I'm sorry to sound a little bit schoolmarmish about this, but after over 25 years of riding the bus here, I know what works. You can also indicate if you want the bus lowered, and they don't lower it just for people with walkers and scooters. They lower it for people like me who have difficulty negotiating that step, and I find them very solicitous about that. The same thing works with getting off the bus. If you want to get off, you may have noticed recently there's been new messages on the bus about, if you are able, disembark at the back. Well, I'm not able. So, in advance of the stop, I tell the driver, may I get off at the front, please? And that's what they do. They stop, they lower, they let me off them. We're all happy, we're all safe, nobody's fallen over. I use the bus as a way to go sightseeing. I can get to the Oak Bay Marina, I can visit the seals, I get there on the number 8 bus. I can go out to Langford and buy delicious bakeries from the Lighthouse Bakery on the number 50 bus. I can even go to the casino on the number 50, should I be so stupid as to want to do that. I can go to Macaulay Point and watch those amazing kids climb the wall there. It's fascinating. I can do that on the number 25 bus. I can visit Esquimal's lovely new library. How many of you have been there? No, you see, the whole world is there on the bus. Like it's steps from the number 15 bus to Esquimal's. And the number 14 will take you to Victoria's Secret. It's this lovely little cafe tucked away on the gorge by Admiral's Road. So I recommend that. The bus is also affordable, at least for me, because I'm poor, so I get one of these lovely Compass cards. I tried to use it in Vancouver last week. I'd been told I could, but somehow it didn't work. So I got to investigate that further. It was a little embarrassing to get on the bus and have it not work. The other thing I try to do in my little exploratory trips is watch the timing. Never take them when school is getting out. It's not an issue right now, but in the fall and winter, nobody wants to be on the number 2 bus when it's full of kids from central school, whatever it's called, and the high school. It's not nice, and they really do have to be spoken to about getting a seat. So to avoid that, I try and avoid going on that time. Now, there's one secret that I bet most of you don't know. The bus will stop where you want to get off at night. Now, it may be more difficult for you, Karen, because you've got to be at a stop that's authorized for ramp lower ridge, if
Yeah,
that's
but
the
normal
word.
people can.
Normal, even abnormal people like me. I'm on the number 2 bus, I'm heading for James Bay, I'm going down Douglas Street. I live at the top of the hill in the Glen Shiel, and I say, well in advance, I'd like to get off at 606 Douglas, please. And he stops, or she stops. They will lower the bus, they will not lower the ramp. So there is usually a little bit of a jump because they can't obviously get to the curb. But that is a wonderful bonus. I feel safe. I don't have to contend with anybody lurching out of Beacon Hill Park.
That's right.
And if anybody else, you know about it, Karen. Anybody else use that service? Highly recommend it. But it's just at night. Finally, if you're new to taking the bus, thank you. It's your gift to our environment. And it keeps jobs for bus drivers. And it means that it's going to continue to be easily accessible transit for me. And I'm just in love with the bus.
Yay!
And happy to take any questions.